Have you ever had that moment of relief when you found out that the thing you do or your body does, thing that happened to you or your body, situation you found yourself in etc. is completely normal, and if so, what was it? Edit. This has been entirely eye-opening, and I love that some people have had the moment of relief reading some of these comments. Based on how many people have said vaginal discharge. Can we make a pact to educate our daughters and stop this cycle of shame that we feel because we have a vagina? Precordial catch syndrome. Random stabbing pain in my chest was super alarming when it first happened, and I was really worried about it. I think I spoke to my GP about it briefly, but he didn't really seem bothered. Then I saw someone else post about it on Reddit and was so reassured. Vaginal discharge stains, bleaches underwear. For the longest time I thought I wasn't in control of my bladder, had some kind of infection or whatever. But nope. Just acidic discharge. Edit. For more info click here. Edit 2. Apparently the Mirror is linking bad ads, so here are some more links. Pantyprop, The Asian Parent, Huffington Post. I grew up with a narcissistic abusive fuck of a mother. She lived for making me feel like something was always wrong with me. She would revel in pointing out every single flaw or abnormality to do with body. I remember being around 8 or 9 getting all these jagged lines all over my arms, thighs, hips, bum. They were angry-looking shades of dark purple-red. She would freak out at me, tell me that I must be dying. What the hell are those? This is coming from a woman who's given birth 3x by then. I think I was about 11 when I learned that they were simply stretch marks. At a similar age I also started to get discharge but had no idea what it was. I thought I was sick. She kept telling me how I was filthy disgusting, that I better stop doing it or she'd make me wear the underwear I soiled. I took to stuffing toilet paper up there, secretly washing myself with hand soap 1,000,000 times a day. A year or so after that I grew boobs seemingly overnight. I went from flat to like a G cup. She laughed at me while telling me everyone would think I'm a whore or a nursing mother. She insisted I didn't need bras of my own, could manage with her old B cups, then would proceed in telling me off for trying to burst out of them. She had a theory that if I forced them into a smaller bra they would stop growing, get smaller. She would do up the straps so tightly I could barely breathe, then berate me for being so fat. She was the kind of mother who wouldn't let you lock the bathroom door or have any privacy whatsoever. She would barge in whenever she liked. She would inspect, criticize my body well into my teens. We didn't have internet. My reading materials was always scrutinized before allowed home. I wasn't allowed friends. The rest of my family were just as fucked up as she was. By the time I eventually got my hands on biology books in secondary school I could have cried from relief from realizing that I wasn't some disgusting freak of nature. Edit. Typos. Toe hair lol. I saw a commercial recently for a razor where the woman shaves her toe hair, and the amount of comments by women saying, "OMG, I have toe hair too," made me so happy and realized it's more common than I thought. The period poops. I thought it was just me until one of my friends mentioned it. Hands down finding out that other women have hair in their butt crack as well. I thought I was a mutant for the longest time. Orthostatic hypotension. After a while lying in a hot bath, if I got up suddenly, my vision would narrow and I would get really dizzy and it felt like I would almost pass out. What's really happening is that blood vessels dilate from lying down, the warm bath, etc. When I stood up quickly, my baroreceptors didn't compensate quickly enough to accommodate for the change in height and blood pooled in the extremities, depriving the brain of oxygen for a split second. A couple things. Being attracted to both men and women at the same time is totally a thing. Up until about the age of 16 to 17 I was in a fair amount of quiet turmoil because I couldn't pick one. I found out about bisexuality online. Being tired all the time. Hating yourself for not completing basic tasks. Getting distracted during those basic tasks. Forgetting huge swaths of information and not being able to muster any enthusiasm for even your favorite things is depression. Before realizing this I thought I was straight up just a bad, useless, miserable person. After finding out I was able to seek help and make actual improvements. Oh baby, you're already wet. Actually that is just vaginal discharge and you're missing my clit. First time I got a migraine I thought I was dying or had some kind of horrific neurological disease. I get auras, lose part of my visual field, have tingling, nausea etc. Was a teen so I didn't know anything yet. Went to the neurologist. I was like so happy when he said it was migraines. He was like, I've never seen anyone so happy to be diagnosed with migraines. I think about that every time I have a migraine and all the horrible things I thought it was, and it makes them a little easier to bear. Putting a name on panic attacks. There's nothing like being a child, entering puberty, and aside from the regular teenage craziness, to literally feel like you're going nuts. Edit. Holy shit, this blew up. Now my highest rated comment is about my messed up brain. Okay then. Edit 2. To everyone saying they didn't realize they had them, what actually helped me understand it better before learning what it was were the Potter Dementors. I know they're supposed to symbolize depression, but at one point when I ran out of ways to describe what happened, I just told people it felt like that. Which ended up with the books being taken away from me for reading much into it. That I can feel the ovulation or being close to ovulate. I went off the pill after about a decade. I honestly forgot what it's like. It took quite long for my first period to come. One day, I felt pain similar to period pain, but no bleeding. I was quite certain, it's a cyst. But no, my cycle kicked in and I have been having Mittelschmerz in the time of ovulation ever since. My niece was born when I was 15 and lived in the house with my family for a while. During this time, I started lactating. I was convinced it was some sort of cancer or I was pregnant and didn't tell anyone out of fear. Years and years later, I'm a birth and postnatal doula and very well versed in breasts and lactating. Little did I know when I was younger, women can lactate without having had any children at all. Some women are more sensitive than others. I, for instance, started lactating just by being around a baby with all those love hormones flying around. It got more intense when she cried. Edit. Thanks for all the replies. Really glad this has gotten so many people talking, and I'm grateful for those sharing their experience. Remember to see a doctor about any abnormal changes to your body to rule out anything serious. Oh my Jesus, I've never told anyone, but when I first adopted my cat I briefly lactated, and when I called my doctor in absolute hysteria he said it was normal and probably just because of the loving nurturing feelings I was having towards my cat. I ascended to a new, freaky realm of cat lady dom that day. This is crazy, I had no idea you could lactate for someone else's baby. It's really cute actually. Feels very like community spirit. Why? When I first got my period I thought I was bleeding to death. I cried in my room for hours waiting for my mom to get home, thinking I could die any minute from too much blood loss. When you Google, bleeding out of vagina causes, period is not the first thing that comes up. It was only a temporary relief after I found out it was going to happen every month. Exploding head syndrome. I would have these dreams, often shortly after falling asleep, where I would hear or dream these loud noises. It would startle me awake and left me confused if the noise actually happened or if I dreamt it. For me the noise was incredibly real, but I knew it didn't happen. I thought I had a brain tumor or something was wrong with my mind until I did some Googling and figured out what it was. It still shocks me when it happens, but at least I don't think I'm about to die. About a year ago, I found a painful pea-sized lump in my breast. It had been hurting on and off for a few months, and noticed it only hurt when I was on my period or ovulating. So I went to the doctor and brought it up, terrified it might be breast cancer. My doctor gently informed me it was not a tumor, but a cyst in my boob. It was right then I learned you can get hormonal cysts in your breasts like you can on your uterus. I was so freaking relieved, and a little embarrassed I didn't know this before. The general shape of my genital region. Schools discuss all the mechanics of sexual reproduction in health class, including showing pictures of STDs. When it comes to the normal exterior, general appearance of genitals, they ignore it altogether. When I saw a documentary about women surgically altering their hoo-hoos, I realized mine was actually normal. Someone once told me that the labia is the body part with one of the most variable appearances on the human body. I heard it when I was in my teens, so it made me feel a lot better as I was seeing these diagrams of badly drawn vaginas that looked nothing like mine. Badly drawn vaginas should be an Instagram page. I'm 29 and it's only been in the last year or so that I've seen some of those giant grids of all the different ways that labia can look. I assume that they don't show these in school because sex ed tends to be more about the abstract biology and then making you scared of what can go wrong, rather than explaining what's normal. I imagine schools don't want to deal with parents who might be scandalized by showing children or teenagers pictures of normal genitals. Sigh. Which is really sad, because that would be so helpful to both girls and boys. And it might help dispel that awful lie that labia on a woman who's had a lot of sex start to look like roast beef. This one. I had no idea other women had longer labia, thought I was a freak and no guy would ever want to sleep with me, and can remember being very young and wishing I could just cut off the excess skin. It wasn't until I first started watching porn in college that I realized how many shapes vaginas come in. It seems so strange that in sexual health classes, the focus is on the interior mechanics of the genitals, and never what genitals will actually look like when you become sexually active. I understand that the reproductive process is important to learn, but I would think it would fit more into a biology class, where sex ed should be about safe sex, relationships, consent, etc. Do you gals also have a couple hairs on your boobs? Not masturbating the way the ladies in the pornos do it. This one I only found out recently on Reddit. I thought I was the only one masturbating lying down on my stomach with closed legs while rubbing it with my hand. I guess porn movies show what men would like to see rather than what women really do. Haha, it's always been awkward when guys have been all like, "Ooh baby, I wanna watch how you touch yourself," and I'm like, do you wanna watch me lie face down on top of my arm? 'Cause that's pretty much all it's gonna look like. I thought it was weird I had to keep flexing my legs to orgasm too. Google is super helpful sometimes. OMG. Lived for almost 30 YRS before finding out that period diarrhea is a real phenomenon. My god, none of the women I knew had it. I used to feel like such a freak. It took a random article on the internet for me to know this. I cannot express the sheer relief that I was not alone. Edit. All my lovelies, united we stand, in our diarrhea despair. Here's something to make you all smile. My highest rated Reddit comment is about period and poo. An apt metaphor for life. Ha ha ha. That little squiggly worm, line thing you see when you stare at the sky or water for too long. I thought I would go blind from it but realized it was normal when they made fun of it on Family Guy. Hairy nipples. I have way too many long dark hairs but I just pluck them out when I notice them growing back. Breast discs. Those round, movable, firm and bumpy lumps of tissue that are in peri-pubertal breasts? I didn't learn that they were normal until medical school. Saw a thread yesterday about belly buttons and I learned that not only is it completely normal to feel pressure in your vagina when you put your finger in your belly button, but that people with dicks feel it down there too. Found out that swallowing your saliva was normal around age 11. Was definitely overthinking it.